Welcome to the very first episode of Oxucapografia. It's a big word, but I think we can say it all together now. Oxucapografia. We can call it OXG for short. And it means the study of the history of Xucaboa. Now, Xucaboa is named for Xuca the cat, who lives in Lisboa, Portugal. So instead of Lisboa, it's Xucaboa. And what I've done is taken the vanilla map Roslyn Peninsula from Campus DLC and modified it a bit. Here's the original real quick, and you can see that I've filled in some waterway here and created an estuary over on this side of the inlet and some islands in a river delta type of configuration here, but it's still pretty much the same map where I build my 100% vanilla baby city. Just much rougher terrain. And the reason this series is Oxucapografia is because the study of the city of Lisboa is called Oxucapografia because the ancient name of the city was Olisipo. This was the name used by Lusitanian and Iberian tribes as well as the Romans who conquered them later on. And in this project we're going to do a nice easy first episode starting in the Paleolithic Era. Really the late Paleolithic, because human species are now exclusively Homo sapiens sapiens, and while we're still using stone tools in nomadic hunter-gatherer cultures, we're now creating some art and developing some key traits that make us distinctly human. We are primed for creating societies, but we're not quite there yet. So you see here we've got this thatched hut that we'll be using. It's not exactly like what Paleolithic structures were like, but it's close enough for this purpose. These won't last very long at all. We're still nomadic hunter-gatherers, and we're just going to take a look around the map and figure out some good places to set up camp. We'll imagine we're in a tribe of people looking for some new territories, and there are 3 criteria we'll need to consider. The first being, is there fresh water? And the fresh water we have around this map is mostly going to be coming from rivers and streams. The peninsula is surrounded by seawater, which isn't drinkable, but there might be some good fishing in some spots. Fishing exists at this point in prehistory, so our second criterion will be, is there nearby food? We've got fishing as an option, but since we're mainly hunter-gatherers at this point, we'll need a bit more than that. We can look for vegetation that will have foods that can be foraged, like fruits and berries, nuts, some simple grains, mushrooms, anything edible like that. And as hunters, we will put a high value on good hunting grounds. That will be a really enticing bonus for us. If we take a look in this forest here, we can see that there's a bison wandering around. So that's definitely looking good for hunting. The third criterion for where we put a settlement will be, is it safe from enemies? Is it on a hill? Is it in an open area? Our enemies will be both dangerous animals as well as competing humans, so we won't want to put our shelters just anywhere. We'll have to think pretty hard about it before we just plop them down. So let's get started. Let's look at the hill from our cinematic intro. Now we've already seen that we have nearby fresh water, and we have plants for foraging, and we know there's bison hunting grounds around here, and being up on a hill is a good defensive position to keep us safe. So I think we'll get started right here, and we'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 little huts. Just kind of a random number with the 7, but why not? And we'll name this Tribe Number 1. So here's a look at Tribe Number 1. Now there will be more than one tribe in this area, so let's look for a second location for another group of people. Let's follow this stream a little bit. Looks promising. But, ay caramba! We've got a predatory cat roaming around here. We'll want to keep an eye on this in case it chooses to attack us. Now, over here on the hillside, we are close to a fresh water source, and it should be pretty easy to defend from the cats. We have some foraging vegetation over here, some bushes. So I think we'll just put tribe number 2 right here. Again, we're not going to overthink this because these really won't last. We'll be jumping several thousand years by next episode, so don't get too attached to these. It's just for the idea of the Paleolithic Era. Okay, looking for the next location now. Let's zoom out a bit and take a look at the map. We don't want to be too close. Over here looks kind of nice. Got a lot of fresh water in this area. I don't think we want to get too close to the estuary because it's a bit too lush. The water's probably brackish and it probably has a lot of animals and things living in all this forested vegetation. I don't think it'll make for a good campsite. But here in this field, I don't know, there's really not a whole lot of stuff going on in the field though. Oh, we do have a bison though. We have some bison roaming around. So we've got hunting grounds now. The fields don't have a lot of plants, but they have hunting grounds. Here's another one. Nice. Look at that. Over here, there's a lot of vegetation we could use. So I'm thinking somewhere in this area will be pretty good. Look, the bison's going to get a drink of water. I think that's perfect. These are perfect hunting grounds. So I think we can put a tribe right here near the river in this open plain where the people can see any threats coming from far away. Tribe number 3. Here's our scenic look. I think it's a nice little spot. And so we can see tribes number 1, 2, and 3 already placed down. They're not super close to each other. And I think we can add a few more. Moving on to number 4. Here is a freshwater stream. It's not a very long stream, but there is a hill near it, although the hill has a lot of trees. We see here another bison going for a drink. Hunting looks good so far. This area has some promise, but look over here, there is a cougar in the field not so far away. So we'll want to have an open view to the field so that we can see any cougars that might be coming in our direction. Look at this thing. It's a real predator. Very menacing for a Paleolithic person, but also I think if I was in a field and I saw that, I'd feel menaced as well. Right at the water's edge, there's some good foraging plants. So I think we'll stick close to them. And put our huts right here. There we go. Tribe number 4. We can take a quick scenic look at tribe number 4. Let's move on and scan the map in this direction. Take a look around. Now the next source of fresh water is this river over towards the northern edge of the map. There's nothing between this and our last stream. When we zoom in a bit closer and turn on our contour lines, we can get a lay of the land a bit. There are some foraging spots for sure, right over here. I don't yet see any large animals for hunting, but that doesn't mean they're not here. We just haven't seen them. At the mouth of the river will probably be some good fishing. So, you know what? Let's just put our small settlement over here close to a probable fishing spot. Tribe number 5. Okay, we've got 5 tribes so far. we've covered pretty much this part of the peninsula, so let's head to the southern side of the river where we started. We'll just do a quick scan of the terrain here. We've got several bays and some beaches, but no fresh water until right over here. And this looks pretty nice, actually. It's by a hill for some good defense. And looking closer at the stream, there's a small little waterfall where it drops into a tiny inlet coming right from the sea. So the water changes there. It's probably going to get a little bit salty, and with the waterfall there's going to be some nutrients stirred up, which means some good fishing. On the hill we've got some plants for foraging, and I won't waste too much time searching for animals to hunt because I think this is a pretty good spot overall. We'll put tribe number 6 here. Very idyllic locale. Further south to the point of the peninsula, we see that there isn't any fresh water source anywhere over on this side. But here we have an interesting spot with a waterfall in the mountains. It is fresh water, but it's very high up. I don't know if that would be where a band of people would want to make camp. Right? It would be difficult to get up and down for hunting. For bringing the animals that you hunt all the way up to your camp there. So let's pass on this spot for now. Just over here, though, we see another bison getting some water at the mouth of this mountain stream, so this is looking a little better already. There are a few plants to forage. Not too many. On the other side of this ridge, there's a lot. Quite a few. Yeah, this is a good spot. Maybe a little difficult to get to. But I'm sure the fishing is good here. It's a well-protected area. And so here we go. Tribe number 7. We'll take our scenic look. It's a pretty neat stream. I like the way this came out. Now over here is our last river on the map. And next to it is a very large field. Pretty open field. It's on a bit of a slope. And over here is a small bump near the forest. Has some plants to forage. And we don't see any animals, but I think it's still a pretty good spot to set up a camp. So here is tribe number 8. Another beautiful little scene. And I think we will keep it at 8 tribes for now. Just small bands of people expanding their territorial range. Not very complex, but we are on the technological cusp of being ready to settle down and create villages. Now, at this stage of prehistory, we don't know what these people were called. We don't know what language they spoke or what they had named things. There are no buildings that remain from their time. Just some artifacts that give us kind of a glimpse into their way of life. I'd like to say, for the record, that while this is going to be a historical build project based loosely on the timeline of Lisbon, Portugal, I'm not an academic person, and you really shouldn't cite me as a source when you're writing any of your papers for school or anything like that. I'm just enjoying a game I love and building a city based on the history of the city where I live in real life. And it's going to be a learning process for me as well. if you're interested in topics here, I'll always share links in the description that can give you a starting point to learn a little bit more. If you just want to watch the city builds, that's perfectly fine too, and I promise that this city will only grow in complexity as we advance through time. This episode is about as basic as you can get with the Paleolithic huts. Let me just give some much due credit to a few other city builders, such as Bon Bon B and his Breaking the Grid series, Acruis and his Altengrad series, Do Not Eat's Franklin series, Play Curiously's Zagreb series, and Akospoot's Kutas Valley series. All awesome projects that gave me a lot of ideas for how I would want to do a historic city build project like this. Really planted the seeds in my head when I was watching these about how I would go and do this. So, have to give some credit there to these great projects that I really enjoyed watching during this goddamn pandemic. Thanks for watching the first episode of Oxucapografia, and on the next episode of OXG, get ready for the agricultural revolution, about 5,000 years into the future from this episode. Stay tuned, and I will see you next time.